Alright, what's up guys, Azura here, and today we are here to take a look at the new set that just dropped on JP. This time featuring Bermuda, Grandblue, and Pale Moon. Very nice that we actually have a set for once, unlike last month where it was just Flowers Collection. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we got in the new set. First clan that I will take a look at is Bermuda. So first off, we'll go over the GRs. So the first one is the Shuchu, I think is how you say this archetype's name. Chocho Shushu, I'm pretty sure Shushu, but she's Laprina. Her skill is if your heart is a Shushu, when this unit attacks, you can CB1 and G flip, and then for every face-up card you have in your G zone, you may put up to 2 of your cards to the bottom of your deck. If you put and then you draw the same number of cards as the number of cards you put plus 1. So for example, if you first write this, you would put 2 to the bottom, and then you draw 3 because you put 2 plus 1 is 3. And then if you put 4 or more, you can choose to, if you put 4 or more to the bottom, you can call any number of cards from your hand. So basically, it's not GB2, but I don't see any reason for you to want to first strike this, as far as I can tell. You probably could do some extensions with this and draw an extra card off of it, but I personally think the double stride is just simpler to use for that purpose. And because the actual call skill that you call more cards to attack with is tied to 4 or more, meaning you have to have at least 2 face up in your G zone, meaning minimum second stride. This card basically reads is a finisher. It's basically for what the deck is trying to do. This is the deck's finisher, and pretty good card. At worst, it is a +1 because put 2 at the bottom, draw 1, and then if you draw 4, you can if you put 4, you can draw 5 and call a completely new board. So yeah, pretty good for the deck. It is heart locked to Shuchu, so you cannot throw this into every deck, unfortunately. But for this deck, it's really good. And if you don't know what this deck's gimmick is, their whole gimmick is instead of Bermuda like bouncing cards back to their hand and calling back out, this deck's whole gimmick is putting cards to the bottom and then doing stuff off of that. So yeah, if you want to play this deck, I recommend at least 2 of it. From my personal playtesting so far, I personally don't think I've ever wanted to go into this card more than once, just because it does require you to just fill up a board and then put it back and then draw 5 more, and sometimes you just don't draw the cards you need. So yeah, because of that, this card is pretty good, but it's not something I see myself going into twice a game. But because I only have 2, I've never had the chance to experiment first riding it, so maybe this card is the optimum first ride for this deck for all I know. So yeah, at the end of the day, this card is still very good. And the GR that is not so good for Bermuda, in my opinion at the very least, is the Pacifica. This is the Fantastic Passion Pacifica. When student attacks CB1, you may return any number of rears of your hand. Then, if you have 3 types of Pacifica with different card names in your hand, you can call any number of Pacificas from your hand. And for this turn, those units get +5, and GB2, those units can attack from the back row. So, hypothetically, this card can net you like 5 extra attacks. Hypothetically, of course, but that would require your entire hand to be all grade 3s. The Flowers Collection Pacifica Stride does help you set this up pretty well, because it does add Pacificas to hand. But at the end of the day, to do this, you have to have so many grade 3s in your hand. It means you have no triggers in your deck. Since it's only +5, it doesn't scale particularly well either. Having to have 3 different Pacificas also means you need to actually play the original Pacifica, which is a 10k base, meaning even with the +5, it is only hitting for 15. So in theory, if you just read this card, go, damn, this card can net you like 5 extra attacks, right? It seems pretty cool, but at the end of the day, that would mean you've had to have 5 triggers in your hand. And some of those are probably 10Ks. They don't scale properly that well at all. And this card basically reads, this card is very good at 5 if you have the optimal scenario for this card to go off. But other than that, I think this card is kind of eh. But I think the biggest issue is that the Pacifica deck itself is kind of not good. And even though this card could theoretically be really good, if the core of the deck is bad, it doesn't really matter how good this card is. So yeah, I don't think this card is very good, and yeah, I have 0 interest in playing this deck. So unfortunately, I pulled 2 of it, but that's besides the point here. My thoughts on Pacifica, not very impressed by it. Or rather, not impressed by the deck. I think the card itself is probably okay, just the deck is kind of meh. And then got some Turia strides, use some like legacy support. There's this Coral. I don't remember what this card does, but I see 10k in a crit. I'm sure this card needs Corals and Soul, and I do know that this card flips a Coral for cost, meaning you go into her to flip the GR Coral from set 8. So that Coral skill is live more often, so it's pretty cool for that deck, I guess. Rate is a restander for duos, but it requires a rate heart, meaning you're not on the actual good duo Vanguards. And yeah, this card's cool, I guess. So that gives, it's like Raging Wrapped, but triple rare and probably better. But Raging Wrapped wasn't very good. I don't think this card's particularly good either. So the rates here, I guess, if you want to try that. There's Riviere, the Riv Stride. CB1 G flip, if you have power, and then if you have 2 more face on your G zone, you should get 10k and a crit. So that noticeably here, the second skill for the 10k and the crit is not Riv Heart locked, meaning you can actually just play her as a card that gets 10k and a crit on second stride. Kind of mediocre, but it is an option if you are poor. And then I know the second skill is you can use it to fix a heart. If you're on a Riv Van, you can swap for the Legion, the Traw. So you can swap for the Legion leader, so you can like fix your heart when you trade this. So that's pretty cool, pretty good for the deck, I guess. But I think the deck is also kind of mid as well. And this is the Shushu Stride that I mentioned earlier. This card skill is on hit to van. You can bot deck on your rears. If you do, draw 2. So yeah. So this card is also a +1. You trade 1 for 2. Same thing with this. It would basically be the same thing, but you're trading 2 for 3. So yeah. On first stride. So I think this card just a little more efficient, cheaper on cost 2. Is only this is actually free. That one's CP1. So this is definitely the best first stride for the Shushu deck. And yeah. And these are more dual strides. I don't know what these do. I don't really care either. I see CC here, so it probably counter charges. So yeah. So that's it for all the strides. For the triple rares, the Turia is the main ride for the Shushu. So this card's GB1 skill is if you have 1 or less rears, you can stride for free. So because this deck is bot decking its rears all the time for costs and effects and stuff like that, realistic speaking, your board going into your turn would be like 1 back row, because your opponent obviously your opponents have to hit your intercepts, right? So this first skill here is very much really good in the context of 0, because for example in TCG you'd actually have to go out of your way to put everything to the bottom so you stride for free. In 0, as long as you clear out every back row but one, as long as you clear out your back row minus like 1 card, if they hit your intercept, you can't stride for free, because you know, in the hit intercepts you lose your rears, you go into turn, you only have 1 back row, so you can stride for free like that. So very nice. And then her other skill, her stride bonus skill, is when you stride, you can CB1 and reveal a top card of your deck and add it to your hand. And then if the card you revealed is a Shushu, you can choose to put one of your rears to the bottom of your deck to draw an additional card. So this card can cycle a card on your board for an extra card if you reveal a Shushu off the top. And yeah, so at worst this card reads draw 1. And then if you happen to reveal a Shushu off the top, you can cycle a card you didn't really care for, which does happen sometimes. You just want to slam like a booster behind fan just to scale. And then if you want it first, and then you can put it at the bottom and draw a card. So 2 very relevant skills, and then obviously the on play +3 when you ride it. So yeah, very very good card. I think for the in the context of the Shushu deck, this is obviously your main ride, but there's a list that I saw that basically is just you play like a small Shushu engine in the deck, and then the rest of the deck is just harmony cards. So for all intents and purposes, this card honestly is just a better Loris, because Loris' GB2 is basically useless, or it's like the GB tied skill. This card's GB tied skill is very good because it's a free stride. Every turn you try for free, you can try for free, and then they both basically draw 1. But this card has an extra attack down effect to it if you happen to reveal a Shushu off the top. So for all intents and purposes, I think this card's just a better Loris. A better Loris in a generic deck, and then in its own deck it has a strong second effect to help you cycle a card. So very good card. Definitely want for if you want to play anything remotely related to Shushu. This is the aforementioned the Legion with the Riv. Very cute. She's a little Riv doll. But this card's a Van restand, so Legions with the original Riviere, the grade 3, the eyes. And then once per turn, at the end of the battle, you can attack the Van. If you are in Legion, CB2, discard 2, draw restand Van, draw 2, and then it has some other skill that probably lets you search a Riv. So yeah, pretty cool, I guess. And then these cards are all like filler, some dual cards, some Shushu cards. None of these cards are particularly that good, but in the Shushu deck, you'll probably play them just because they have Shushu name, and that is kind of relevant in that deck. So yeah, so that's for the grade 3s, grade 2s. Nothing too relevant here. This is your main like combo extender to use with on your first ride. So pretty good there. If you're playing pure Shushu, you definitely want 4 of that card. And as for grade 1s, there's 2 very relevant ones here. First off is this Shushu grade 1. This card on play you can just ditch 1 card to search deck for a Turia. Turia is the name of the grade 3, your main ride, so it searches for that. If you search for Shuchu, you can search for anything, so that's why it searches for Turia specifically. And then at the end of your turn, If your Vanguard is a Turia, you can Soul Blast 1, put her back to the bottom of the deck to CC1. So this is yet another way to clear a card off your board, and you get the CC back with it. So very, very nice. And then the Shushu PG. So her skill is the first skill, usually the super generic skill actually does matter, because this PG can actually only PG if you have a Shushu Vanguard. So this card is not splashable into other decks. Not that you'd want to splash into other decks, because the effect is very Shushu oriented. So it's interesting to note that if you, for whatever reason, are playing like non-Shushu grade 3s in your deck and you misride on a non-Shushu grade 3, this card will not guard for you in hand. So keep that in mind. And then drop zone skill. So during your turn, when your rear is placed in the bottom of the deck, you can CB1 and put another copy of her from drop zone back to the bottom of your deck to add her back to hand, and then discard one. So it's those PGs that play towards the deck's gimmick, and then you CB1, you put and you pay a cost to usually put another copy of itself back to the bottom of the deck to add it back to hand and ditch one, so you don't actually go +1. So pretty good there. And most importantly, unlike the Luard PG, the Ezra's and the Bloom PG, it does not bind itself on you, so you can actually use this card multiple times. So that's very, very good there. So if you're playing Shushu, you're definitely playing for this PG. So yeah. And that is it for Fish. Quite long actually, because this is the one clan that I actually got a chance to play around with. So probably a little bit shorter than the other ones, because haven't actually gone around to trying those other clans yet. So we'll go over Grandblue first, because I know this clan a little bit better than Pale Moon. So so the GR we got for one of the 2 GRs we got is the Night Rose. The Sprint Rose is once per turn CB1 G flip, and then call a card from your draw zone for every face-up card in your G zone +1. If you call 3 or more, she gets a crit. Meaning on second strike she get a crit. On first strike she just calls 2 cards, which is pretty cool, I guess. Probably shouldn't come up too often, but it's there. And then this other skill is, I have no idea, so I'll pull it up real quick. But I can clearly tell that it gives 5k to something. At the start of your battle phase, during that turn, the same number of units, something about night or something about power. So it gets power, I guess, which is pretty cool. But noticeable thing here is that on second strike it gets a crit and it calls the board out. Also, it's note, this is not on attack skill. This is a act skill, meaning you use this skill during your main phase. So this is not a multi-attacker that just floods your board. So honestly, I think this card's like a 2 of at most. I don't think this card's particularly that good, to be honest. So just that. And if you thought this card was mediocre, get ready for this card. This card is even worse. Yeah, the Dragoon, I think is his name. GV2 once per turn, CB2, discard 1 card from your hand. Call up to the same number of cards as your rears from your drop. So I think I'm interpreting the skill right. So for every rear that you have, you call that number of rears. So if you have 5 rears, you call 5. If you have 4, you call 4. If you have 3, you call 3. So you actually, this one doesn't even fill a board for you. You just call over your cards. And then for each unit with the hollow ability that you called, you randomly retire one. You randomly retire opponent's rears with priority to back row. Then if they have no rears, you draw 1. So I guess technically it could be a CB2. You have a board, and then you call over your board, and then you pop their board, and then you draw 1, I guess. Yeah, this card is kind of mediocre. I can kind of see where it might come up. But overall, I think this card is a max 1 of, because it's not even a G flip. So yeah, this card is kind of mediocre. Not that impressed, to be perfectly honest. Honestly speaking, I don't even know if you actually play this card or not. If you have space for a one random card, maybe you'll play this as a 1 of. Otherwise, I sure as hell would not make space for it. So yeah. But the actual good stride we got was the Negro Songer. At the end of the battle that attack, CB1, G flip, discard 1 card from top. Discard 1 card from your hand, check top 4, place a card from one of them into your drop zone, and then call 1 from your drop zone. So it doesn't have to be a card that you put to the drop zone. It can be anything in your drop, and then during that turn, that unit gets +5 for each face-up card in your G zone. So on first stride, it gets +5. On second stride, yada yada yada, for every face-up card in your G zone. It can get really big, basically. So yeah. Very good, because you can use this as the first stride that pushes. You can use this as a way to get over Jingle Turia while still extending pressure damage, because you notice this card is when at the end of the battle that attack doesn't have to attack a van, it can attack anything, so you can swing to a rear, so very nice there. So yeah, this card's very good. I definitely think this is the best Stride that Grandblue got this set. I definitely think this is a 4 of in the deck, and luckily it is a triple rare, but unfortunately for me, I put 0 of it. So yeah, yeah, this card is very good. Definitely a 4 in my opinion at the moment, at the very least. So yeah. And then next off, the next card we got that's relevant is the new Night Rose Grade 3. And this card, I think, is the reason why Night Rose might make a small comeback to the meta. So GB1, it has Hollow. This is very relevant because the old Night Rose did not have Hollow. This one does. So very, very good there. GB2 once per turn, when another of your rear guards enters, another rear guard is called from the drop zone. If there's a grade 1 in your drop zone, Soul Blast 1, call a grade 1 card from your drop zone to enter the rear in the same column as that unit. It is a rear skill as well, so I guess it works there. Again, I haven't played this deck, so I don't know the actual applications of the skill, but it looks cool. You can use it to call another card. And then, but the real reason I think this card's really good is for its Stride bonus. On Stride, CB1, check top 3, choose any number of the cards among the top 3 and mill them. So you can choose to mill 0, you can choose to mill 1, you can choose to mill 2, you can choose to mill 3. So depending on what you find, you will mill something off the top if you want to mill anything at all. And then you call 1 from your drop zone, and then that unit has the Hollow ability, it gets +3. So it is like the old Night Rose that just calls one from drop. But this I don't remember the old gets power or not, but this one should be giving power unless you're calling like King Serpent or something. But and you get power. But the important thing here is that this card mills off its own skill, meaning right now you probably don't have to go Obadiah first stride anymore, because I think the biggest issue with this deck before was that Obadiah first stride just made it like outrageously slow because you did nothing on first stride. With this now, this gives you relatively okay selective milling, especially if you also do this with the Negro Songer, because this would let you check top 3, mill anything you want, and then the Negro Songer lets you mill check top 4, mill something from there as well. So with check top 3, check top 4 multiple times over the course of 2 turns, you should realistically be able to fill your drop zone up well enough for the cards that you actually want. So, and because of that, I think this card makes it so you can stride anything that is not Obadiah anymore as your first stride. So because of that, I think this card is very, very good. It fixed like the main issue I had with the deck. So definitely a 4 of in the deck without a doubt. Grade 2s, nothing too relevant. This is a CC and it block decks itself, so that's pretty cool there. I'm pretty sure that's what the card does. The Hollow PG is very good too. Give me a second to pull the effect up, because I do not remember the exact effect of it. Hollow, it has Hollow, so it's very relevant there. GB1 Hollow, GB2 has actual skill. And then also interesting to note, nice to note, is that this card does not bind itself like the old triple PGs that added themselves back to drop. So this unit is retired by Hollow if your Vanguard is Night Rose, Soul Blast 1, and put another copy of itself from dropped to the bottom of the deck, and then return this card to your hand and discard 1. So another recyclable PG. Very nice. Obviously, Grandblue can mill stuff really well, so obviously, if you want this card in drop, you will get this card in drop. And yeah, very, very good. No reason to not to play it. And that is for Grandblue. And finally, we'll go on to Pale Moon. This clan, I think, is the clan that people are thinking will be the best at the set. And just off first impressions, I do tend to agree. Am inclined to agree with them. So the first thing we got is the new Harvey Stride. So Magia, when this unit attacks, CB1, G flip to choose and put 2 other cards in your circles back to the bottom of your into your soul, and choose up to 3 cards from your soul and call them, and then end of turn put them back into your soul. And then for every Harvey you face in your G zone, all of your rears with Magia get +3. So you can scale your rears. And interesting to note here that for your cost, it chooses circles, so you can choose to put a locked card into your soul as cost. So not that this deck had trouble dealing with lock to begin with, but now you have another way to deal with lock. So that's pretty cool there. This card is not GB tied, and you can try this first. And because this card gives a crap ton of power, on first try, you can give +3 to all your Magias, and then on second try, if you do this again, you have 3 Harvey face in your G zone because of the first 2, and then the one after that you flip for cost. So you'd be giving +9 to everything. What's relevant here is that +9 means all your risks can probably hit in Jingle Turia numbers relatively comfortably, and that's just really good because Jingle Turia is still one of the best decks, and this gives Hari a very easy way to deal with it. So yeah, very, very good card. If you want to play this deck, you definitely need 4 of this card. I think This is one GR you cannot skimp on this set if you want to play this deck. I think this card is a mandatory for it right now. Very, very good. And next up, the other GR is the Fairfield. So his skill is GB3 Magio once per turn. CB2, choose one card from the drop zone and soul and return it back to your deck. I don't know why it recycles from drop and soul, but I guess it does. Choose one of your opponent's front row and back row rears and put it into their soul. So board removal, pretty cool there. And then choose one card from your soul and call it, and that unit gets plus 10, plus a crit. And the following two abilities, it gets resist and Soul Blast 2 to give it plus 5, and then it doesn't go back to your soul at the end of your turn. So because this card's Magia, the card you call will go back to soul. So basically you pay an additional Soul Blast 2 for 5k, which probably doesn't matter. But what matters here is that the card does not go back to soul. Meaning this card, the thing that this card calls is a giant intercept with resist, because the power gain and the crit is cross turn because it's the end of your opponent's turn. So for the most part, you're probably gonna call, I'm calling like a 19k intercept with resist, so it's pretty cool. Issue is that the Pale Moon isn't exactly a deck that's looking to stall. So this card is one of those cards where you probably go into because you're like, damn, I can't kill them. Let's just use this to push their face in instead, because you can clear the front row off, and then you can flip, and this card gets crit. If the card you call gets crit, you just push like that instead. So yeah, it's one of those cards where it is not the best for the deck, but it will come. There will be situations where it comes up, and there will be situations where you definitely want this card. So I think this card is definitely at least a 1-of in the deck, maybe a 2-of, but definitely a 1-of. So pretty good there. You got Silver Throne Stride. I don't care about this archetype, so we're not going to bother looking at that. Again, more Silver Throne cards. Wow, who cares? I sure don't. But a card that I do care about is the new Harvey Stride, or the new Harvey Grade 3. Skill is GB2 once per turn when your rear guard is placed into your soul. You can CB1, add one Grade 3 card with Magia from your soul to your hand. And then on place, check out 2 point card from your soul and put the rest on the bottom of your deck. And then on Stride, you can Soul Blast 1, call a card the Magia ability from your soul, and at the end of the turn put the unit back into your soul, and then on ride plus 3. So another Harley to Stride, another Harley to ride into. So definitely very nice there. You can also on ride, you can also filter soul. So if for whatever reason you have extra copies of this in your hand, you can ride it to filter more cards into your soul. So yeah, very good card. Definitely playing for it without a doubt. And again, just more Silver Throne cards. Who cares about that? I sure don't. More these cards kind of just okay. CC2 on hit demand, kind of whatever. I think it's a Nightmare Doll, Ashley, whatever. I think this card's like okay, it got pretty big and it did something. Don't remember what it does, but I remember this card was pretty okay when I first read it, but I don't remember what it does. I'm too lazy to find it. So that card's okay. I remember this PG is pretty bad. GB2 Magia, when you PG, if your Vanguard's a Hari, at the start of your turn you can call a card from your soul and then put it back at the end of your turn. So kind of whatever. I don't personally think I'd play this, but it's there, I guess. You sure as hell didn't play Hoopmaster. This is basically Hoopmaster version 2, and I don't think you played this either, to be honest. So yeah. So that's it for this set. I don't think there's anything else. We have nothing else for this clan. So overall, I think Hari has the highest potential to be very good. Basically just because of this Harley Stride here. I think the Stride is very good. New Harley Heart helps too. The new Grade 3, very nice. I think Grandblue also has potential to be pretty good again, because now you no longer have to Stride Obadiah. I mean, you can actually do something on first Stride. So that's really cool there. And from personal sets from Shushu, I think that deck is okay. It's nothing too special, I'd say. It's cool. It's okay. Nothing amazing. It's there. But yeah, overall, I think this set has potential to shake with the meta just a little bit, mainly with Night Rose and Hari more so. But I definitely think Night Rose is back in contention for at least a solid tier 2 deck now. So yeah, so that's it for this video. Let me know what you think about this down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.